The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Are you ready to take a journey? Let's connect with the healers of the world. It's that time. It's time for the Language of Healing on W4WN Radio and Talk 4 TV. Now here's your host, Dr. Nicole Fortin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Language of Healing. You're on W4WN.com or however you're streaming, YouTube, Facebook, iHeart, all the podcasting platforms. We're here live every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. And wow, we're at the end of the year. It's December 30th, 2025. And here we come into 2026. Can you feel the goodness of that new energy we're coming into? I'm a little excited, just because this time is, letting things rest. Like the past year, maybe you reflect, look back, and you're ready to create more. And, many of us have that little stillness. We're entering the winter. It's still reflective time. And what can we create more of? This is, maybe an interesting year transition for many reasons. So today's guest is well-versed and lots of experience and amazing perspectives around grand cycles, big cycles, how our body shifts and moves through those, the zodiacs, the frequencies, the sound therapies, and an amazing thing called the extraordinary vessels in Chinese medicine. These are the behind the scenes vessels, the ones from, that really form and shape us right from conception into formation. So let's bring her on. It's Dr. Erin Taylor, acupuncturist, Acutonics professional, educator. Yeah,
That's
badass
great.
business lady. You're writing a book, you're traveling the world. Yeah, you're working with great mentors and teachers, and you are yourself one. So thanks for coming on and sharing your perspectives, avenues.
Thank you, Nick. It's an honor to be here and to sit here with you. After I was reflecting, I think we've known each other for close to 20 years. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, right? Time flies.
Yep.
Yeah.
It does.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And what about 2025? How's that wrapping up for you? How was that year?
Well,
Have you been reflecting? Reflecting.
Good question. I mean, that could be a 3-hour podcast. Yeah, 2025. I would say the last 2 years. It's just a lot of endings, a lot of letting go. From the Chinese Zodiac, that was the year of the snake this last year. So the snake really represents, transformation, shedding skin, going deep within, transformation. And so I think, like myself, probably yourself and a lot of the listeners, this last year has felt like a shedding of the skin, just really you can't run and hide from the things that we have to see.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, just seeing it and letting it drop away and making space for something new. So working with clients and things like that, a lot of my practice was at this last couple of years, just shedding and shedding and shedding. And like you, just kind of almost feeling there was a gap there for myself. It was like everything shedded, and it was like a blank slate for a while there. But I would say the last month or so, starting to feel kind of that momentum of the next, the year of the fire horse, which is very different from it's just so extreme, right? From the snake to the horse, and just really that movement and moving into something new. And there's a bit of an excitement and I'm not sure what, but I can
Yeah, I know.
feel
I
kind of
feel that
that
too. A little.
momentum. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like, because well, okay, so the zodiac, Chinese zodiac, there's 12 animals. They're in a big they're
Yep.
in a big race.
They are.
I don't know, however they land. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's similar to the Gregorian or Western astrology with the 12
Yeah.
zodiacs and 12 months.
Yes.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
Chinese zodiac has, we also have 5 elements in Chinese
Yeah.
philosophy or Eastern philosophy, Taoism,
Yeah.
or however that
Mhm.
comes to. So 12 times 5, 60. We're on a big 60-year cycle. I mean, always,
Yeah.
right? So anyone turning
Yeah.
60, it's like the return um, of their,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it's a completion of a grand cycle. So yeah, snake. So the
Huge.
snake energy, we were in the wood snake, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then coming into the fire horse. So yeah, what did you notice people shedding a lot of this year, or maybe in your personal experience? Like what's what should we be shedding?
Just,
Oh, and
yeah.
also what I find, sorry, whoa, squirrel. I think it's relevant. No, in numerology, right? If you're into that, like 2025, the 2 plus the 0 plus the 2 plus the 5 equals 9. And 9 is
Yeah.
typically a number of completion or finished cycle, like 1 to 9, and then comes back into 1. 2026 will be a 1 year.
Yeah.
So it is like a
Yeah.
fresh start. It's a fresh slate. And how you even mentioned that you were feeling that kind of freshness,
Oh, yeah.
that's such a great place, that pause where we can,
Yeah.
so that's also a critical part of the transition is the pause.
It's the pause. Absolutely. It's um in the book that I was writing, I talk about that moment, and it's really that movement, in Chinese medicine. It's that movement between metal and water, which metal is the fall and water is the winter. And there's this really curious moment between that transition called the mysterious pass. Or I like to call it the sacred pause. Really uncomfortable place to be in. Like, I'm not going to sit there and say, yeah, that was just so amazing. Like, gosh, I love that pause. No, it's holding the tension and holding the paradox of all parts of ourselves and saying, I'm a hermit and I'm an adventurer. It's just being able to have the space to hold the paradox all the time. And as things are dropping away, it can be really, really uncomfortable. So the things that used to bring some excitement or inspiration, well, that goes away. And so it can be a really uncomfortable moment for all of us. Totally uncomfortable for me. And this time around that cycle, I thought, no, you just have to hold it and just see what happens. And it really is, in different traditions, it'd be like that death rebirth. And then as we kind of touch into that place of the unknown, and where it can be a little bit confusing too, because of things that we identify by or from or with, they start to drop away. But then there's like this new birth through the water, for something new. But again, a lot of us will kind of bypass that moment because the uncomfortableness. So when you say, what have I been shedding? Seeing, just old programs and patterns probably based in fear and insecurity that just had to drop away. Identifying to certain ways of being had to drop away. I think, like many, there's been tremendous loss. So on a personal level, a lot of loss, which that loss became a catalyst actually for writing this book. It's interesting what loss can do, right? It can really crack you open. And it did for me. It really cracked me open to a place of where something wanted to be born through me. And so it was the catalyst, but it took many, many hits to crack me, because I think I can be pretty tight bird,
You're like ready for battle, show up. How many of us, like, yeah, we got
Oh,
the,
here we
oh,
go.
I'll deal with that later, deal with that. And then it takes like,
Totally.
yeah, all those hits. It's
Yeah.
the straw that
But
broke the camel's
that
back.
was yeah. That was the paradox of learning how to, interesting with grief and loss, is learning how I could feel a few things happening to my heart, like it was either going to shut it down, and create more of a barrier and maybe even bitterness, or it was going to crack me open. It was always like this choice point. Am I going to let this loss shut me down and wall myself off, or am I going to let it break me open? And I would say those losses, as painful as they were an opening. And then learning to walk, again, that paradox of, that loss and that grief, and also the peace, and the expansion that can happen. I know our minds always say, oh, you just got to choose between this and this. How can you be in grief and still have peace? Well, you can. The heart can kind of hold all of it. So it was a real, catalyst into this place. And I would say that's where all of that creativity came from for the book. Paint, and that wasn't pretty either. That was a real destructive, creation and destruction happening at the same time. It was, I never gave birth to a baby, but my gosh, it was a mess. It wasn't when you see in the movies and it's like all glorious. Just like type of it. Oh no, that was not me at all.
You go to like a little retreat and you're like, I'm gonna hammer it out. Yeah. or like, escape to the mountains for a weekend. And it's all peaceful and stuff.
No,
yeah.
Well,
because there's a lot, like especially if you're writing a type of personal memoir type story, or sharing your personal, like that's obviously a pretty vulnerable space, and you have to confront a lot of things, so.
Oh yeah, it really was. And that the book was about the extraordinary vessels. And I came back from Japan last year. I went on a bit of a self pilgrimage where I wanted to learn how to stone carve, and I met an artist down there. And it was after, again, a series of losses, and I found myself in Japan, and honestly just going to the studio and working with stone day after day. It was like this repetitive thing, right? Over and over, but it really helped to it helped me in that process. And when I came back here, I was just, everything had just opened up so much. And it was like this thing in me. Well, my journey with the vessels, it's been 20 years and it's been a real inner pilgrimage. But I was so, you could say, destroyed on one level. Things had opened up so much that I had access. And so I just followed it and basically went into hermit solitude mode and just allowed whatever had to come out and just birth it. And it started in music. So I started creating music first before I could even start writing. I didn't even know I was going to write a book. It just kind of happened, right? It wasn't like, oh, I want to write this book. It was just allowing what was wanting to come out of me. And so I did that for 8 months, but it was every vessel I went into. Yeah. I mean, these vessels are vessels of truth, the truth of who we are, true nature. And so every time I would hit one, I would feel that truth and also see all the opposite, or feel all the opposite that was going on inside. And it's a story. I mean, anyone can read this book. It's basically like, I won't say it's like The Alchemist, but kinda. It's like Dear Pilgrim. I'm going to take you on a journey to the inside, because I'm noticing, like, a lot of us, it's scary to go inside, right? It's scary. I mean, it's scary to turn that light inside and really have an honest look. And there's no roadmap. So it's kind of like a bit of a map to go inside and to travel and feel each vessel. So.
Yeah, and so maybe you can speak a little bit more towards that extraordinary vessels. These vessels you're speaking of.
Yeah. I mean,
just because, like, and maybe we've also, if you're familiar with acupuncture at all, that there's like 12 main. There's that 12 number again, 12 months or whatever, right? Like that, and that relates to the organs, the lung, the heart, the spleen, the kidney.
Totally.
But there's 8 behind it.
Yes, they're the behind the scenes players.
Yeah.
So they're amazing. So you could say they're like the vessels of creation. They're called. This hit me the other day, and I found it actually really profound. They're called extraordinary. So oftentimes in our culture, we have to shoot for the stars and become extraordinary, right? This is kind of like a bit of a narrative that kind of runs in all of us, like be the best that you can be and all this, pushing. But the other day I was like just contemplating and even the word extraordinary, and it just hit me. It's like they're you wake up to them, or they wake up inside of all of us. And then what I'm realizing is it's just they make you actually more ordinary. There's nothing like, you
Yeah.
know, they're
Yeah,
extraordinary.
more aligned, more,
Yep,
I
and
don't know.
and more rooted in our both our humanness and our divinity, where they're alchemical in nature, so they marry all the opposites. Like as I was saying earlier, it's like this paradox. And what the eight extraordinary vessels do, the vessels of creation, they're vessels of resilience and adaptation. And typically they come
Mm.
online, or they stay quite dormant, and then they start to become active every 7 years for women and every 8 years for men. And they kind of upload, we can use those terms, they kind of upload new information to the body, to the awareness. And they help us to evolve, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so you could say that they're the organizing principle behind all life. And because they hold that frequency of truth, anything that's not in alignment with that it'll be highlighted. So to activate them, people say, oh, this sounds amazing, I want to activate all of them. I was like, don't do that, because like you're gonna see
You're gonna
the
like just,
opposite.
yeah, blow a fuse or
You're gonna
something.
yeah, you're just gonna like short circuit yourself. And so but they also come online when the species is threatened. And so even during COVID, there was this
Mm.
moment of holy crap, but in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, this is amazing, like we're all being threatened. And just my work with the vessels is like, this is an opportunity for these vessels to be active. And why I get excited about them is because they remind us of our nature and our connection to Mother Earth, our connection to creation, our connection to one another. And I find right now we're in a time of, and they bring separation back together. They unify. They're unifying agents, and within our minds, within our hearts, within the meridian system. And so right now, we're at such a time where, we're just seeing division, polarization. And that is a path, and it's not a judgment. It's just a path that as humanity, we're taking as a collective. But what these vessels do is they start to bring everything together. And it's not like we're all turning into the same being. It's just where everything can exist. Everything can exist, and it's all okay. But right now we're going down this path of separation, away from our nature. And that's why we're seeing all anything in Chinese medicine that separates creates imbalance, as we know, and war and death over time. And these vessels, as I say, start to unify things and bring things back into right relationship with yourself, with nature. It reminds us that we're not separate, and that, yeah, and when you feel it, it's not a mental thing. These vessels have to be felt. And once you feel in your heart that you're not separate from one another and from life, you can't do any harm to anyone, right? Because doing it to the other is doing it to yourself, and doing it to yourself is doing it to the other.
Hmm.
And so yeah,
It's very Japanese philosophy too, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely,
Like treating
absolutely.
everyone with respect, or like a godly, that Shinto Buddhism, the bow. It's like everything is just
Yeah,
like created or done as if you were presenting it to, like,
totally. Yeah, like all the felt experience in our hearts that all life is sacred, including each one of you, me, and everyone. And when we lose that awareness, or we forget, I won't say lose, when we forget, because that's all we've done, we forgot,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's a process of
So
remembrance.
that's
Totally.
that's all it is. And
Yeah.
that's what those vessels are. They help us to remember our nature, and um that very concept of interconnectedness, and how all life is connected. And what you do to one, you do to the whole.
Mm.
And if as humans, if we can remember that and feel that, then the reality changes instantly.
Mm.
Instantly.
Yeah, they're like the extraordinary vessels remind me of the golden threads, or the golden Or there's a saying, it's like
Absolutely.
every man, woman, and child is a golden link in the chain of my good.
Exactly. That's
Just like,
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's, yeah, really fascinating. And then I know we, in previous conversations, even just connecting to get here today, to have
Yeah.
this conversation, you mentioned the Dai Mai, which is one of the
Oh,
vessels,
yes.
and how it's maybe relatable to this time of, like forgiveness, acceptance, like
Yeah. Yeah.
atonement, making things rightly
Yeah.
right. It's a chance right
Yeah.
now in this 9 year, in the snake
Yeah.
shedding year, to really,
Right.
like, just, I don't know, just
Let
surrender,
go.
let it go, or find peace, like you said, like
Yeah.
within the grief, or
Yeah.
like acceptance goes a
Yeah.
long way. So it can
Yeah.
allow you to, awaken to the future, or at least come in with
Yeah.
a fresh slate. How nice would that be? You know?
What, totally. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, my exploration with the vessels, they're very similar to like the five element system where there's these layers of correspondence, right? So water corresponds to the color blue or black, corresponds to fear, corresponds to the philosopher archetype. But each extraordinary vessel has a correspondence because they're the vessels of creation. So they're the organizing principle behind all life. And so in my inner exploration with these vessels, I was able to correspond uh, the vessel. So let's say the Dai Mai, for example, to you can correspond it to a chakra. You can correspond it to a color, which is it's all frequency, right? So it's just getting in tune
Mhm.
with that vessel and then just allowing what happens to happen. So a color, a sound, um, uh, an animal, a planet, and a star system, or like a star constellation. And so you can, and even to stone. So basically you can correspond that vessel from the earth, like the bones of Mother Earth, to the heavens. And we are all part of that. So with the Dai Mai, this is interesting with the snake, the year of the snake, that corresponds to the yin chao, which is one of the extraordinary vessels. And the yin chao, it's interesting in some of the ancient texts. One of the famous Chinese medicine doctors, Li Shijin, in his exposition, he was very cryptic, and in his notes he said it all begins with the yin chao, and so the snake corresponds to that. But the yin chao, it's a like for all the other seven to turn on, we have to really go through the curriculum of the yin chao. And the yin chao is actually the vessel, it'll hold all the shame and all the guilt. So as you turn your light inside and you connect with that yin chao or the year of the snake, there's a lot of, you'll start to see the shame stories, the guilty stories. And what that vessel, the information in that vessel is about your worth and your value and about receiving love. Are you able to receive love? Most of us are really good at giving, but really, really
Mm,
hard at receiving. But then as we move into the year, the horse, that really corresponds to this vessel called the Dai Mai. It goes around the waist, but it goes around the whole body, basically in the pattern of the Fibonacci sequence. So all life in
mm.
this dimension emerges in that Fibonacci pattern. This is the only horizontal vessel in the body. It
Yeah,
was
it's a
regarded
spiral that's like
as
always
spiral,
evolving.
spiral
Cool.
of creation. And going into that vessel, yeah, it's a vessel of forgiveness, but not our as a human, like our brains are kind of set up um in a judgmental pattern. Our hearts are set up in a discerning pattern. Judgment and discernment are very, very different. So when I'm talking about forgiveness, it's not from the I did something really, really bad, or they did, it's not me versus them. It's a forgiveness from the place of just seeing it clearly for what it is. And this, I think Jesus said this, forgive them because they don't know any better. So it's that really hot, and including yourself, we do our best. But
Mhm.
what forgiveness, that frequency of forgiveness does is two things have to happen for a person to feel forgiveness in the heart. Again, all of the vessels can only be felt. They can't, we can know them here, but they're not going to be, that's one way of understanding them. But for them to really come online, our body has to feel them, and our feelings go through the heart. So it's a kind of forgiveness, which is like, I like to call it an atonement, the word that you like, at one-ment, where you can see it for what it is. And forgiveness, the ego has to step aside for the heart to feel forgiveness. It's one of the hardest emotions for humans to feel, because we have this thing, and it's not about, we need the ego. It's a beautiful structure as well. But it actually has to just surrender just a little bit for the heart to feel forgiveness. And as soon as that happens, it's like a sword that kind of slices through karma. The karma's gone. When you can, that's the only thing that slices the karma away, or else we trail with this pack of karma. So the Dai Mai, this vessel of forgiveness, coming back to the remembrance of who you are, connecting into that spiral, it shoots you into the center, which is like that number one energy is about beginnings, but is also energetically about coming back into the center and really creating from that center, from your authentic self, right? That big S, not the little s. And and you can see forgiveness too when you feel it. It again, it's like seeing the other as the self. There is no separation at the end of the day. Forgiveness from judgment, yes, it's like, that's a totally different kind of forgiveness.
So
But
what
I'm
was
saying
the
forgiveness from the, go ahead.
forgiveness from the what? And the
Just from that place of forgive them because they don't know better. Like, people are just doing their best. Yeah, including,
Yeah. We are just whole, creative, resourceful, doing the best we can with the
just doing our
information.
best. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you say was the difference between the judgment and discernment? Discernment and
So
judgment?
like judgment comes from it's like it's a protective mechanism in the brain. Me versus you. And from judgment comes like fear. Like, usually there's a fear, competition, and then we have like jealousy, envy, all the things that we can experience. And it really, you could say, it separates yin and yang. That's what judgment does. It separates everything. It's a separating agent. Again, each emotion is a certain frequency. So we have a certain kind of program from the mind, which is to keep the body safe, and we call it the ego. But then we have this place, and in Chinese medicine, we have these 3 heart protectors. We always think we just have 1 heart protector, but there's actually 3. And they give us the capacity to discern, to hold the paradox. And just discernment is just to say, hey, this just isn't aligned. Judgment is more like, there's a whole story that goes with judgment, right? Like, you're bad because XYZ, and I'm going to shame you, or I'm going to be jealous of you, or all these things. This is all judge. And discernment is just seeing it, through the eye of the heart, and just seeing it like, hey, it's out of alignment. But there's no, you're a bad person or you're a good person for doing that. It's just seeing it for what it is. There's not a whole emotional charge behind
Right, yeah.
discernment.
It
With
feels like
judgment,
it's a more
there's an
neutral
emotional
place.
charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, judgment could be coming from our, our programming, our beliefs,
Totally.
feelings, thoughts.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
discernment is
And
more
it's
based, to me, it may more based on factual, or it's more neutral place, like reality
very
check,
neutral.
maybe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, a lot of my teachers throughout the years, and I really believe this, is they said the shortest but the hardest road we're all taking right now, and either we're conscious of it or we're not. It's from the head to the heart. And what does that just means? The movement of all the awareness into the heart. And they're finding they're even finding neurites in the heart, like brain,
Yeah.
like neurons, and everything in the heart.
Yeah, of course.
And it was a huge tenet in Chinese medicine. Like, we don't even talk about the brain. We just talk about the heart mind.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, no, they are seeing, I think they are finding even in the gut, the colon,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
Oh, yeah.
maybe the larger small intestine, but yeah, so we have 3 that number three, the brain, the heart, the
Yeah.
the gut,
And the gut. Yep.
all different.
Yeah.
And I find that interesting with that, what you say about the connection between the head and the heart. Um,
Yeah.
well, for so many reasons, a few reasons, but it reminds me of the chakra system because
Yeah.
the heart to the throat is where they say like bridges the material realm, physicality
Yeah.
realm with more spirit and all the, mental,
Yeah.
emotional stuff.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I always go back to why I love teal because it's like a mix
That's
between the green of the heart and the blue of the throat.
the
It's like,
throat. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And that it's a really hard movement to
bridge.
make, like it's
Yeah.
the bridge.
So
Yeah.
what,
It's a
yeah,
very hard movement
what
to
can we
make.
be doing right now to support that connection, more
Mhm.
like bridging the completion of this nine snake energy and then, fully stepping into that one self, like the, from the core.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
into our allowing that true nature to really come through,
Yeah.
and when we say shedding, another like it's all the conditioning, right? That we've had, and not only, you know, you could say past life, you could say this life, you could say intergenerational, but we're all kind of shedding that, and the thing, this movement from head to heart, it sounds really easy, but for example, when we go through the throat, this whole area holds all the anxiety. So the opposite of anxiety is faith, right? So anxiety is not bad. It's just saying, remember faith, which is one of the extraordinary vessels. It's the yang way. So, and to have, when you have faith, guess what? You let go. Anxiety
Mhm.
is just that projection into the future. So when you
Yeah.
can surrender a little bit and say, I just have to have faith. I've done everything, I can, and now I just have to let go. Yeah, it's easier to get through here. There's a lot of, so this is a passage we have to get through. And then we have this other, so where the kidney spirit points are, and it's called the upper heart
Mhm.
chakra. And that's an
Mhm.
unwinding of our is the conditioning and the hurts and the pains and the trauma that we carry that we haven't resolved. And so we play this ping pong for a while, right? It's like, oh, I touched in, you've touched in when you feel that sense of peace, contentment, um, the awareness that, again, you can hold if you can hold the paradox, grace holds paradox, right? So that space, compassion holds paradox. It's just seeing it for what it is. So yeah. And then the other thing too, though, there's an energy coming up from the root into the heart. So it's like the heavens and the earth are meeting in the heart, and the heart kind of becomes the mixer for the heavens and the earth. So really having a connection to nature is like a personal connection, like really a personal connection with the natural world. We might, our world, we're an interesting time, aren't we, Nick? Like,
Mhm. I know.
like it's really interesting. Um, yeah, you can see, like, I feel like at some point we're all going to be asked to make a choice, like a choice
Mhm.
point. Am I going to go
Mhm.
further out into separation and this idea that I'm
Mhm.
separate and alone? Or am I going to come back and remember who I am and my relationship with all life, and that you're not separate and alone? But for as connected as we are right now in the world,
Yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah,
say I'm treating people who are feeling so isolated and separate and alone.
yeah,
And so it's curious, right?
yeah.
So,
And then
but
I
again,
didn't know,
it's that remembrance.
yeah, and like that when you're so disconnected, that's where I find that sense of apathy or like I don't know, not hopelessness, but just like don't care, right? Just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
why put effort into something or why should I even strive? It doesn't really matter,
exactly.
just kind of
That's
so,
right.
or you're
Yeah,
really fueled with like, just things that don't really matter, I think, at the end of the day. And
exactly.
I'm just also reflecting now, we're end of the year and people, we're the idea of the New Year's resolutions or something we're stepping into. This year I'm gonna do blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I think this is a better way to move forward into a new year instead of a resolute. It's like the atonement, the realignment, at one mint. I
Yeah.
like how you said that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that isn't
Yeah.
that the greatest resolution to
Yeah.
be, I don't know, just coming from like feeling that peace and being able to move forward with
Yes.
that. Less anxiety,
Yes.
less overwhelm, unwinding.
Yeah.
And then, we're speaking
Yeah.
of the Dai Mai, which is that spiral vessel. Um,
Yeah.
so I can just
Yeah.
feel that, feel almost the Dai Mai, like being like, so do you think that this coming year with the fire horse, because the horse is related to the Dai Mai energy, right? Um, will we have, uh, we could be wound up even more, or a little too
Absolutely.
lax. We are going to need to find the right
Yeah.
bounce or the right step,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So
navigating that.
like the Dai Mai really corresponds with that solar plexus.
Mm,
And for that
okay.
energy to move into the
The
heart,
self
so it's that
energy.
totally. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of reckoning with
Willpower.
the yep, and you could say the part of our awareness that felt like it had to keep it safe. And safety is so important, but like we've all developed again these we have to soften the ego. We have to come into a different relationship with the ego where it's not driving the bus. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's the whole Dai Mai situation. And that's like corresponds to the solar plexus. And well, the fire energy is the heart. So you can almost see this movement, or the way I'm seeing it right now is, or feeling it is like this movement from the solar plexus to the heart. And this is where we create from, right? This is
Mm.
where we create imbalance. When we create from the mind, we create the opposite always. So that's just
Uh-oh.
that's how creation works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we create from the heart, everything is unified. So you create in balance. So yeah, like life, these cycles are really supporting humanity to remember, right?
Yeah.
Let's it's okay. You're going to work through some ego structures that maybe aren't aligned and with the heart. And as those kind of break away, that energy is going to move up further into the heart, and the energies, as we go through our past wounding up here, that's going to come down. And so really like, and how do we work through it? We just give ourselves the grace and the space and the forgiveness that it's all okay. And we're just all doing our best. And it's really hard, the language of one of the vessels, it's called the Yang Chao. And when you say this to a lot of activists, they get pretty annoyed and pretty like hot, which I love.
Active.
But yeah, very active. Yeah. But it's like the language of the heart, you could say, is there's a sense of peace, lightheartedness, but also the feeling of everything is all okay. And you say that to an activist and they'll say, no, it's not. But even these are all ways we're creating right now. And some people have to go down really restrictive ways, some really expansive. And then at some point, it'll just be about the heart is like that balance point where everything kind of comes into it's all okay. And yeah, but activists aren't going to like that one. They're like, ooh. Which is good because we need the activists, right? We're all called to our different niches right now.
That
Yeah, so
energy moves,
like
it moves things too,
Mhm.
It is another perspective, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
It's interesting, when you're, for the listeners to get a different feeling of the Dai Mai, you'll know when the Dai Mai is calling you home. Again, if you have a lot of unresolved resentments, a lot of unresolved anger. I mean, anger is such a beautiful emotion because it gets things going. It's like the wood, right?
Deactivate.
It's the wood to stoke the fire. So so that's your Dai Mai calling you. Now if there's like a repetitive, you're caught in a story of resentment, well, that's gonna depress the Dai Mai. And that's where there's that call to remember forgiveness. And it's not to get, so just remembering that frequency of forgiveness, is going to transform that resentment. It's going to help to let it go. And that's the thing about the vessels, is they are very alchemical, and they remind us, they have an emotional signature. I call it the signature of the soul. And it's something we're forgetting in our world right now. And it's really wanting to be here. The remembrance of that aspect, that we're both human and divine, and both are beautiful. And it's a certain language, the language of the soul. So it's just remember, like, this trust, safety, compassion, these are all signatures of the vessels.
And I think we all can relate to moments where we do feel like that fire has been stoked, or like someone has added that wood to and ignite the passion or the activity, and anger, or, these are good things because they do help us evolve and see, oh, I'm actually don't feel good about that, or,
That's
that
right.
could have a new boundary, or that could be a next evolution of something I let go of, don't do anymore. Or, watch out
Exactly.
for.
And even the boredom, like if you're feeling bored, that's a good sign.
Oh
like
yeah,
people
boredom
hate
is
it.
great. Yeah.
But that's also a Dai Mai situation, and it's just because something you're tuning, you've gone through a spiral of creation, and you're going to the next spiral, and you're kind of, and so there's like a gap, and it's before, it's a before movement, or you could say like a state of feeling or awareness. Boredom happens right before a launch into something different. And again, it's just giving yourself the space. Don't be too quick to fill and fix. It's just like, just allow that to bubble up from down below. Maybe because it is going to be such a Dai Mai year, we might see more things like depression. So when the Dai gets really jammed up and that circuit gets jammed up, it'll come in the form of depression, resentment, feeling like you're just a leaf blowing in the wind and really losing your center. And so the Dai Mai can really help spin someone back into their center and remember that alignment.
Yeah, because that
So
vortex, the spin, could also be like the hurricane or something that kind
totally.
of blows
Yeah.
through destruction. And then I can also see where maybe the depression, because if it's being like suppressed or not, your fire is not able to breathe and rise,
Exactly.
then you've lost, connection to your passion or your purpose, and maybe being blown off
Exactly.
course. So
Yep.
and then
And
the
sometimes
Dai
we
Mai,
need, go ahead.
it would connect to the eyes, right? So it's like having that clarity.
Yeah,
Is that right?
totally. Yeah. And sometimes, like, not to be afraid of the destruction first. I mean, sometimes
Right.
that the chaos has to happen, or the destruction, for creating new, and not to be afraid of just the destructive nature of remembrance, because it is a very destructive nature. It's going to show you what you aren't until it reveals what you are,
Yeah.
So allow for the shedding to continue to happen, for that, a little bit of that destructive nature, but it's all happening because life wants us to remember. We're here. I had a teacher say to me, it's the ultimate game of hide and seek. We hide from ourselves and we find ourselves. We hide and we find. And one of my dear mentors, he passed away last year, and I probably mentioned him to you maybe the last time I spoke with you, Ron Laplace. So I was with him for 17 years. And he was the guy that taught me everything I needed to know about sound and geometry, sacred geometry. And he also had a vested interest in the extraordinary vessels, but he was coming from the sacred geometry path. So we were kind of a really good match, as coming from Chinese medicine. But right before he passed, this is about a week before he passed away, and he said, Erin, you understand that this is going to be a movement in consciousness and in spirit that we've never made before on this planet. And he said, we're all getting pulled through that great void right now. And he said, some of us are going to choose to drop our bodies, and many are going to keep their bodies. And so he said, we're going to see a lot of death. You're going to see a lot of destruction. And he said, there's going to be a lot of chaos on the planet. And he said, the only way through is through faith and trust. And that's the ultimate letting go. And I would say, yeah, it's a good reminder for me to say this, but yeah, like that's another kind of way to look at like, why is there so much chaos happening? It's because it has to, because we can only take what's true through that great void. And so it is going to strip away. You can't take anything with you. You know, it is a death.
It's a
And
purification process.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to me, the fire horse seems a bit chaotic, like that could
Yeah.
bring some chaos.
I
But
agree
yeah,
with you.
and I'm reminded too, I studied in India, like with the Hatha yoga and some of their teachings, they described God as the generator, operator, destroyer,
Yeah.
or destructor,
Totally.
right? Like
Yeah.
you need both, destruction and to regenerate. Oh,
Definitely.
just yeah, it's like hold on to your panties. We're going for a ride here.
Exactly.
Or
Exactly.
just like,
At least we can
you
take our
know,
panties.
yeah, why
Yeah.
not? Have a
Yeah.
little light. Like that's what I think in difficult times, like humor and laughter, lightheartedness
Totally.
is a good way to go. So maybe good community, good friends. Maybe
Yeah.
that's part of the
Yeah.
shedding is, or refinding, remembering like the people around you that
Yeah.
nurture and support your growth.
100%.
And that's such a good way to get through difficult times.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you kind of nailed it there. Like I said that the vessels are alchemical. So really the vessels are for a philosopher's stone, right? So you need, in order to change lead to gold, you have to you make your philosopher's stone. So let's take resentment, for example. You could call that lead. It's a little bit more restrictive energy, very, you can, if you feel the feeling of resentment, it's like a burn in your gut. It's tight.
Hmm.
And that's a vibration, and you put forgiveness next to it. Well, that's your philosopher's stone. And if you can hold both, just holding both, just saying, it's okay to resentment kept me safe, but I'm, want to let it go through forgiveness. And your heart feels that over time, Nick, guess what that transforms into? Lightheartedness. So oftentimes when people have a lot of resentment, I'll say that's how much lightheartedness and joy and humor they have in them. They're just not letting themselves express it. They just are keeping a container on it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think to laugh our way through the knothole,
Yeah.
as much as we can,
Yeah, it's a tight
honoring
squeeze, right?
all of it. It really is, yeah, quite
Well, and
compressing.
that's what I so appreciate
Um,
about comedians or laugh, it's like because I often think that they're the most honest, like big perspective, like they can really see the pain and and find a way
yeah.
to, you know, wiggle through
To make
it.
light of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean we're all going through it,
Yeah.
and hanging on and kicking and screaming. Well, that's just real painful. And
Yeah, I know.
so yeah, it just is a lot of pain. And but in order to let go, the body has to feel a sense of trust and safety.
Right.
And that would be
Hmm.
right. If we can feel that and have faith, it makes it much easier just to surrender to what is and just to allow.
Yeah.
And yeah, but
Yeah.
easier said than done.
I
Yeah.
know, right? But it
Yeah.
was great to have this conversation with you because it might speak to a lot of
Yeah.
people that are feeling that, or maybe can't put words to it, or,
Yeah.
feeling something in their body or their spirit or in their heart that they're
Yeah.
like, what is that? Maybe the fire that's
Yeah.
being called, or the pain of
Yeah.
the shedding and being stuck in that. So, how
Totally.
can we find
Yeah.
you? How can people connect with you if they want to work with you or kind of connect with
Yeah. They
you,
could,
sessions?
they can just message me, just email me. Yeah. Just give me an
Yeah.
email, and happy to have a conversation, or if there's any questions, get on a call. Like, yeah,
Yeah, and maybe
I'm
you're
kind of
you
at a,
and oh, sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was just going to
I
say,
was
I'm
gonna,
kind of at a phase right now. I'm also in transition, so trying to figure out next steps. But I always love conversation like this, just sharing in a casual way, sharing as much as I can. Maybe it's not so structured in a workshop style anymore. There's a few workshops I'm doing, but I just really like the connection and the human to human relationship
Yeah.
and just being real. Yeah.
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 I love
So
that about you. Appreciate you. And
I appreciate it.
we'll be looking out for your book because that will be all sorts of interesting and
Yeah.
oh yeah, let's
It's,
dive
it's
into
very
it.
interesting.
Oh, Erin,
Yeah.
yeah, our time is up, unfortunately. We've got to wrap it
Well,
up.
that was
Just
fast.
like we're going to wrap up
Yeah,
this year.
exactly.
Happy New Year, bringing
It's
something new.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, the message
Okay.
of yeah, that the being able to hold space for both, or everything, and then also choosing to stay centered. You can
Yes.
hold both and stay centered, and
100%.
that might be, um, something we resolve to do or you know
Right?
put
Yeah.
attention
Try to
towards.
do.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful.
wonderful. Thank you everybody for tuning in,
So
and
good.
yeah, awesome conversation as always. Well, happy new year to you, and let's give a little goodbye from Flora. Hi.
Bye,
I just shook.
Flora.
Bye,
So
Flora.
cute.
Okay, bye everybody. Thanks for tuning
Bye.
into the language of healing. See you next time. Bye.
Wow, what a show today. And the journey does not stop here. Come travel the world with Nicole every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time as together we become more fluent in the language of healing on W4WN Radio and Talk4 TV. See you next week.